Hi, I'm Crystal Hurd, and welcome to my channel, That Lewis Lady. And I'm back today to talk about my favorite 2026 releases. Now, usually, even at work or just out, people will say, "What do you recommend? What do you recommend for X and Y? What are books that you're excited about?" So usually, I like to compile a short list. Now, one of the things I'm doing in 2026, and you guys are happy to join me if you want to, but one of the things that I'm doing this year is I'm going back. I bought some annotation supplies and some of my favorite highlighters, and I've decided to annotate some of the great classics. So I bought Penguin Black Spine editions of tons of great books. And I posted some on my Instagram as well, some of the things I'm reading or will be reading in the near future. One of the things that I've started is The Count of Monte Cristo, which is a brick. You can knock someone unconscious with it, but it's an amazing book. Everybody online is reading it and loving it, and I hadn't read it, which is sad and terrible. So, and Moby Dick is another one I haven't read yet. Yeah, I know. Like, don't throw any vegetables at me, but I want to work on reading that one too. But I've got several of the classics that I want to do some really close reading, annotating, and just love that. Enjoy doing that. That's so much fun for me to do that. And so this year, I'm kind of shifting my focus to not reading as many new releases and sort of reading some of the classics and some of the, just really good stuff. If you're interested, you can follow me on Goodreads. I'll be talking some more about those. But there are a lot of great books that I'm whether revisiting or visiting for the first time. And I've decided that this year I want to just delve into a lot of great classic reading. Part of that stems from the fact that sometimes when I read contemporary books, they're okay, but they're, 3 to 4 stars. And while that's fine, I understand writing a book's a tough job. I actually have some writing of my own to do this year that will need to get done in nonfiction. And so I'm trying to be more selective with what I read. And I want to read things that will be more satisfying for me overall. Last year I read some really good ones, but this year I'm trying to be a lot more intentional with what I read and how it's going to satisfy me, and I'm being just picky about the things that I do read. So last year, if you go all the way back to last year, I went crazy on Book of the Month, and I bought a ton of new releases. And while I did read some of those and they were great, I ended up just reselling them back to a bookstore when I finished. And so I don't know. I just felt like I wanted to shift a little this year and revisit some of the great books that I love so much, and also read new to me classics that I haven't read before. So that was part of my thing. But today what I'm going to talk about are books that are coming out. Okay, books that are coming out in 2026 that are new in 2026. And I want to talk about the very first one because I just love it so much, you guys. This is already out. It came out last week. This is Glimmerings, Letters on Faith Between a Poet and a Theologian. This is Miroslav Volf, and I'm probably butchering that, and Christian Wyman. If you know anything about me and you've talked to me, you will know I'm a huge Christian Wyman fangirl. Everything he writes, I just absolutely devour. I love Christian Wyman. He's a poet. I'm sort of one. Not as cool as he is, but there is just something about the way he approaches his faith and the way he talks about his faith, the way he analyzes his faith. And, part of our sort of faith journeys a lot of times is about asking questions. I know, there's a lot of debate in the culture about like things like deconstruction and things. And, I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to understand and work through and contemplate. I think it's good. The things, these tenets of our faith that are so important to us. I mean, it is, who we are and how we live. It's our worldview. So I think there's nothing wrong with contemplating and thinking about those things. And this book, delivers so much. Okay, I'm almost done with it. I'm going to have to go back and reread it probably later this year. I just love it. I just love it. It's amazing. It's an amazing nonfiction. Anything Christian Wyman publishes, I will read. He's got a book of poems coming out this summer. I've already got it pre-ordered. Like, he could write poems about my grocery list, about the medications I take, whatever. I will freaking buy it. I love him so much. So when I happened to see this coming out, I was like, I have to get this. And I just happened to see an email came through about it, and I was like, yes, take my money. So that's already out. It came out January 18th. If you were interested, and please be interested. It's great. Really. It's great. Go for it. It's awesome. 2 years ago, his book was my number one top book of the year. I mean, Christian Wyman is just amazing. He is amazing. He used to be the editor at Poetry Magazine years ago. He had a terrible cancer for a long time, and talks about very openly about his struggle with faith through that, and how he came back to the faith through that. If you're interested in reading some of his poetry, please check him out. Coming Into the Kingdom is a great poem. I mean, there's just so many great poems by him. Okay, I'll hush. I'll rein it in. All right. When we're going into the fiction world, I'm going to talk about this book that just came out. This is Vigil by George Saunders. This is Lincoln in the Bardo, George Saunders. George Saunders, his Substack's great. You should check it out if you want. But he's amazing. And this book kind of talks about life and death, like Lincoln in the Bardo did. But it's dealing with a greedy CEO. And I guess the person who is, or the spirit, the entity that's dealing with him between life and death, is really kind of icked out by his morals when he was alive, and sort of trying to reconcile all of that. So kind of like Lincoln in the Bardo. If you've read Lincoln in the Bardo, whoop, there it goes. That was Lincoln. It's about the death of Lincoln's son, and this sort of cemetery full of spirits that are this whole cast, it's almost like a choir of people, of these people who are in the cemetery, have passed, and they're sort of spending the afterlife dealing with some of the things that they dealt with in life in death, and coming to terms with all that. So in February, there are a couple of books coming out. One thing, and I'll have to refer to my phone here. One thing I'm really excited about is Lauren Groff's new book of short stories. That is coming out in February. I've already got that pre-ordered. If I pre-order it, that means I absolutely love it, because on Amazon, if you wait a few weeks, the price usually goes down from $30 to 25 or 25 to 20 or whatever. So for me to throw $30 at a book, it's a sure thing for me. It's a done deal for me. So I have already pre-ordered that, so I want to check that out. Love Lauren Groff. I got to meet her in January of 2022 when I was at the Key West Literary Seminar, and told myself I was not going to fangirl on her, and I totally did. And she was absolutely precious and amazing, and signed my book to me and all this stuff. So my copy of Matrix she was great. She's absolutely great. Another thing that's coming out in February is a special edition version of The Resurrectionist. That is one that I have on my Kindle, but I don't know. Like, I'm really interested in these ideas. I had bought a book a while back on my Kindle that was on sale. I think it's called The Red Parts or something, and it was about body snatching and this idea that we commodify humans in life, but we also commodify them in death, right? We make a business, right, out of the funeral industry, and we make a business out of selling body parts or whatever. And it's a really interesting take on sort of, I guess, for lack of a better term, sort of the economy of the human body. But anyway, this is a fiction book, but it just sounds really interesting. And I've read some of it on my Kindle, and I really enjoyed it. And when I saw this is coming out, I was like, why not? Why not do that? um, so that one's coming out in February. There's a few in March, but summer is really where it's going to hit. May. In May, we have a really cool book that I'm excited about called The Inklings Detective Agency by John Kelly. And as you guessed it, it's actually Tolkien, C.S. Lewis, and Agatha Christie investigating a murder on Oxford University's campus in 1936. So it's, of course, this fun little fiction book, but I thought that's really neat. So if you like the Inklings and you want to read some sort of neat little speculative fiction book, you can pick that up. That's May 5th. And then June's going to be a great month because one of my more recent sort of favorite writers is Maggie O'Farrell. You may recognize that name from Hamnet, which has recently come out. Is it a film or a TV show? I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I read Hamnet. Absolutely loved it. It was one of my favorite books of the year that year it came out. I've read The Marriage Portrait, which is, if you're a literature person, is based off the Robert Browning poem My Last Duchess, which is really cool. It's about spoiler alert, but it's about a duke who sort of murders his wife, but he's telling the representative of his new wife, who will be his new wife, what happened to her, and he obviously skirts around the fact that he got rid of her, and why he got rid of her. So it's a really interesting sort of take on that. But she's got one coming out in June called Land. And it says 1865 Ireland, a father and his reluctant son work on the Ordnance Survey, mapping a land recently devastated by the Great Hunger until a mysterious encounter changes everything. Maggie O'Farrell is a master. She is a master, and pretty much auto-buy for me. And if you're auto-buy for me, that says something, because like I said, I don't put my nickels out unless I really think it's going to be worth the money. So as far as basically the first 6 months of this year, those are some of the big ones I'm looking at. I am also looking at Beauty and Justice, and that one is Mikado Fujimura, which is a Christian artist. It's creating a life of abundance and courage. It has a beautiful cover. I'll put it here, but I've pre-ordered that. That one will be out, April. Sorry. April 7th. I thought that's a little earlier than I expected. So it's about $24 right now, so it's not the full 30, but if you've read anything that he's written, he's marvelous. In my Northwind class, I actually use one of his books as a side text, in addition to our recommended and required texts. Really great on sort of, it's almost like a walking on the water type book, right? Liz Madeline L'Engle's sort of like talking about art and faith and how they commingle, how they work, and how they affect the artist. And are, to sort of borrow Tolkien's term, how we are all sub-creating, right? If you're an artist and you make things and you make them, to show the Lord's beauty, how do you do that? And what does that look like? And how does that work? And that's something that actually Christian Wyman hits on too in this book. So a lot of really cool books, I think, coming down the pipe, but interspersed between these newer releases are going to be me sort of hitting up on some of the great classics of the age. Dead Souls is one I'm looking for. The Peasants. There are so many great classics that and of course Dostoevsky. I will read Dostoevsky all day long, every day. Love him. So I'm working slowly on The Idiot right now. So really great stuff that's coming out. But if you want to join in with me, just let me know in the comments. Maybe I'll have a read-along group or something if you guys want that. All right. So that's what I'm looking forward to in the next few months. Thank you guys for joining me, and hope you choose some of these, read along, let me know what you think. And I appreciate you listening. Have a wonderful day. I love each and every one of you, and I'll see you next time.